I found that people were gearing more towards that. Not that it's a bad thing or anything, but
Mm.
I found certain MCs sounding different and kind of watered it down because I back then uh, there was just no difference between MCs in my hearing. Everyone was it was all the same. Big up bravado. I'm
Oh,
mad. I'm
really? In
this.
Grime?
Yeah, that's how I felt. Like I wasn't a big fan, and my friends were, and they kept playing me this stuff, and it just all sounded the same. Like when you hear a really good drum and bass mix, and it flows for like an hour. They're all different tracks, but it can just sound like one track continuously because it's
Mm.
melded in. That's how I found the grime scene at the time, and I find it kind of like just dispersed the clarity of hip hop at the time.
Mm.
Again, not a
Yeah.
question, just a random fucking
Well, do you know
thought
what?
in my
Yeah, I mean, true. Like, I think it was almost easy to be like it was a competition because you're right. Because when it shouldn't have been, it's all just UK MCs. It's all like
yeah,
all type of different styles. But like if you think about that early 2000s era, and you had things like Roots Manuva just pushing through, Klashnekoff just pushing through, and it's like, well,
yeah,
this is a thing that could blow up, but it almost didn't have. It wasn't quite taken seriously outside
yeah.
of small scene. It didn't achieve that next level, you know.
Yeah, I think if
Um,
those albums come out now, I think it'd be a
oh yeah.
different story for them.
Well, those guys, yeah, they paved the way. You know, I mean that with no disrespect to those artists, by the way. I'm huge fans of all, but like, they paved the way. You know, the sort of the people weren't quite ready for that next step. Yeah,
No, no.
and
I mean, it was definitely an underground culture.
Yeah.
You
yeah,
know,
and then I think grime, just like you could say, uh, it was the first. It was a mix. You know, you had hip hop and dance hall and garage and all of that.
Mm.
That is mixed together, as opposed to if you're just making hip hop that's very hip hop 101. Um, I love all the music. Obviously, I was actively making music then, and I think there were loads of styles and innovations within hip hop that are uniquely British. But I understand why um, the advent of grime, that was like, oh, this is something that's uniquely British. And I know what you're saying as well. Like, I think when I first heard grime stuff where they're repeating the word, repeating the line, I thought, what the hell is
Yeah,
this? I think
yeah,
I was probably like being too sniffy about it. Like, well, I listen to like
yeah. Oh,
pretty,
I
I
definitely
listen
was.
to
I was
hip
like,
rock actually.
"What's this?
I
This is
listen,
like
uh,
childish
yeah,
rhymes and stuff. Like,
Maybe
there's
that's
no
why sometimes.
intricacies."
So maybe that's the downfall because UK hip hop can be quite intellectual. So that's what
Yeah,
the
yeah.
record companies and stuff don't want maybe to jump on, you know. So
well, I mean,
People
but
listen to the
not even
music
record companies.
first.
Just like I think it took me seeing it
Mm.
live. I think it was Lethal B. I remember seeing him somewhere at a festival, just doing POW, and I was like, okay, right, I get it now. It's like he's an MC. You can't say anything. He's
Yeah,
holding it down. He's making everyone go crazy. It's like, yeah, it's not one thing. There's not one approach. You can be
yeah,
really lyrical. Someone like Pharoah Monch, or something
yeah,
like that. Someone who's like the pinnacle of MCs who are lyrical and they're like an MC who's on stage holding it down. Um, or you could be, I don't know, Biz Markie. He's not
yeah.
super lyrical, but you can't say that he's not one of the greatest MCs ever, um, because
Oh,
he's
100%.
so I guess that's it. I think as I've got older, you go, oh, there's no point in trying to say, oh, this is better than that because blah blah blah. No, no, things just
Well, that's
they're
all
like,
subjective anyway.
yeah,
yeah.
of
Definitely.
course. But
Yeah,
I'm fascinated by anything is the story of whatever's going on at the time. I like to think of things like that, like how did that happen? How did it get to that? Like things that I'm not so into. Don't really follow the sort of drill scene,
mm.
but I sort of still appreciate and listen. There's what um, younger people are into and like what the young MCs are doing, and they're part of that, and that's what's feeding their creativity and stuff. So it's quite, but to me, it's interesting. Like, what are the conditions that create that? What did it come from? Uh, how does it all feed into what you have now? But yeah, I mean, back in the day, it was all hip hop for me, really. Like, I loved
Mm.
that hip hop scene. Like you were saying, like that wave of early 2000s hip hop was a great thing. And it was
Yeah.
just slightly before, I'm sure as well, it was slightly like the internet uh, wasn't quite what it was. You're pre YouTube.